Years ago, the young men, or warriors as the Maasai called them, had to display their skill with the spear at an elaborate initiation ceremony which involved hunting and killing a lion. Today, they'd only kill a lion if they were in danger. An Englishman who would have seen the Maasai fighting lions was Harry Johnston. A pioneer, Johnston fell in love with and wrote about what was then called British Central Africa. He spent his life travelling, meeting tribes, and importantly, making the earliest recordings of their voices and their songs.
Because he was in this part of Africa, I'll play this to you and see whether you can make any of it out. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
I brought one with me on mini-disc. This was a real long shot. After all, I wasn't even certain these voices were Maasai.
Could you recognize any of that?
They say that that means that the white spear straight. White spear straight, white spear. And when they do that, they must show the spear like this. I
was stunned that Ollie Dorop recognised the song. Johnston made dozens of recordings, and I had no idea whether any would be recognisable to the Maasai today.
It's amazing, isn't it? That was made in the 1890s.
1890s.
Voices from the past.
Johnston gives us an idea just how far back Maasai traditions extend.
Yes.
I left pleased to see just how important bushcraft still is in their lives, but I was looking forward to getting back to the Hadza. I feel a special kinship with hunter-gatherers like the Hadza, but I couldn't help wondering what their future holds in store. I was really looking forward to this day. I was going tracking, which is one of my favourite bushcraft skills. It's fantastic to come out tracking with people like the Hadza. Their lives absolutely depend upon this skill. It's also one of the most enjoyable aspects of bushcraft because it really challenges your senses, makes you look at the landscape in a different way. But when you're tracking, you're not following nice clear footprints. It's not that easy. What you're actually following are tiny little hints and traces. What you do is you pick up the trail. You find some sign you can identify, and then you gain a sense of the direction of the trail. At that point you have to stand back and look at the landscape as a whole and try to figure out where the animal is most likely to have gone. Then you go over to those openings and you search again to pick up the sign that connects with yours. In that way you can jump distances and leapfrog forwards. It's much quicker than following each track slavishly. If you didn't have an understanding of what's going on, you might think we were just wandering around aimlessly, but we're not. All the time they're keeping their face into the wind so that their scent is not passing forwards. But tracking with a film crew in tow is difficult, so the likelihood of actually catching up with an animal was sadly remote. What happened is that they spotted some movement way down the bottom, and then as it went down, you could hear an alarm call come up from the birds in the forest there. So they think it's a carnivore, but they're not really sure. Their life is a very dangerous one. I'm glad I have a bow in my hand. I think it just does two things. Animals see the silhouette of it. They know it means that you're dangerous and more likely to leave you alone. And of course, ultimately, it can provide some protection. It's rained on this track, so it's difficult to see. It's the track of a leopard. Tracking here is really quite difficult. The ground is very hard, and what we're not going to get is really clear, simple footprints. What we see here, though, is various disturbances. Firstly, the track is depressed into the ground, and you can see it's quite a heavy animal because this ground is quite firm. There's this piece of grass. You see how that's been bent into the track? That can help us to age this track. Now, I think that this track was made probably this morning or during the night. It's difficult to say. It's within the last maybe 6 hours, but I could be wrong. I'm not good here in this terrain because this isn't my natural tracking ground. It's not somewhere I know. I've got to learn the sign here. But what we'll do now is put that to the test, a bit like bargain hunt, and ask Guido, how old do you think this track is, Guido?
Mana. Baby.
2 hours.
Baby.
2 hours old, so not too bad. If the Hadza hunt a leopard, they'll eat it, so it's on the menu definitely. But it's a great threat to them, and many of the Hadza men carry scars from leopards. That's the Hadza word for leopard. Janjaya. We hadn't seen a leopard, but Guido has had plenty of encounters in his life before. You were hunting one day, right?
Mimi niliwinda. Nikampiga chui. Sema.
I went out hunting and came across a leopard. I shot it with my bow and arrow, but the poison wasn't strong enough. As I came near, the leopard pretended to be dead, then attacked me. I fought the leopard for 30 minutes, and at least I managed to kill him.
Every hunter has his story.
When I was a little boy, I was able to kill birds. Once I also killed a vervet monkey and took it back to the camp. The women were impressed. My father took me out when I was a little and told me, "Okay, I am off back to the camp and you have to come alone. If you come across dangerous animals, you must kill them." I came across a buffalo and shot him, but the arrow wasn't strong enough. I lay on the ground to avoid his horns, and as he approached, I hit him on his nose with a stick and he ran away. We can survive here as God has given us the bow and arrow. This is how we are meant to live.
The Hadza live in a balance with nature we no longer understand. The reality of hunting is that although the pickings are often lean, they'll take what they can, but only what they need. But it's a way of life that's under threat. Despite being kings in the bush, the Hadza, like so many hunter-gatherers, fare badly in the world of politics. They rarely, if